Hello, my name is Daniel Sweetser, and I'm reading through Hope Starts Small. It's a novel I just finished up. And tonight we're going to read Chapter 1, Part 5, Blueberries. Frank and Constance wanted to plant small fruit. Over time, Frank settled on blueberries. Most of his reasons came by process of elimination. He remembered watching a video about pruning grapevines, and he saw the guy in the video dip his shoes in bleach before he went into the field. Frank knew he was not this careful. He learned about blackberries and discovered that to get a good crop, there's a complex mechanism of adjustable metal lattices you need to install for each plant. Frank was cheap and also not especially handy, so the prospect of a large expense on equipment he may very well break was not appealing. He hardly even considered raspberries. To him they felt suspiciously similar to a weed. Then he turned his attention to blueberries. He watched extension course recordings from all over the country, and the more he learned, the more he loved. For example, blueberry bushes require a long, cold, dormant season in order to bloom. This told Frank a few things. First, blueberry bushes were ideal for his area in upstate New York. They needed cold to bloom, and certainly they would get it. But secondly, they felt a lot like him. He would look forward to the quiet of winter, rest, shut windows, the dark. But for Frank, the real beauty of winter was when it gave way to spring. And Frank loved the prospect of co-celebrating the joy of the dark giving way. But one of the most significant moments was when Frank watched a man prune a blueberry bush. Unlike grapes, where the process is heavily deliberated and then finally executed, blueberry bushes are treated with a heavy hand. The rule, so he came to understand, was that each bush should keep 7 to 10 canes of varying ages, first year, second year, third year. Canes that cross horizontally are removed first, but then with a harshness Frank did not expect. Much of the plant is cut back right from the base. This was not a delicate operation. Limb after limb was removed entirely. And the goal, of course, was to keep the plant healthy and fruitful. With each harsh cut, Frank was reminded of Jesus' words, "I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit, so they will produce even more." It was the pruning that convinced him. And it wasn't just the fact that it was straightforward, which certainly was important to Frank because he lacked a green thumb. But it also was the prospect of pruning over time. Frank knew that if he planted a field, it would mean that year after year he would need to execute this harsh mercy of pruning on every plant. And for Frank, this meant that with every year and every bush, he would be reminded by his own hands of the truth that for him to do anything good for Jesus, he would need to joyfully subject himself to the same harsh mercy. He had been pruned many times before, some of those times more painful than others, but what he wanted more than anything else was to be fruitful. Frank learned all kinds of other things about blueberries as well. They require a very low pH soil. They require heavy drainage. If their flowers get hit by frost, you could lose your entire crop. They're subjected to all kinds of horrifying diseases. They come in a multitude of varieties. He saw pictures of blueberry fields on the coast planted entirely in sand. That was a wonder to him. He learned that blueberry bushes could last for 50 years, and that there is such a thing as a heritage garden. He learned that birds are crafty and driven, and that he may very well find them to be enemies in time. He learned that the flowers are white, the berries are blue. And of course, are blue, of course. And the leaves turn a vibrant red in autumn. What a lovely display. Frank learned and listened and watched, and finally he settled. He would plant a field of blueberries, and they would live alongside him as a conversation partner and mirror until the day he died. They would remind him year after year that fruitfulness follows pruning, that the cold and dark are a precursor to glory. They would help him celebrate the seasons and share with him the bounty of the harvest. They would be friends and confidants, these humble little shrubs. So Frank began to dream in detail, and then he put his hands to work. All right, thanks for listening. Have a good night.